Hello and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going over Form 1120S for S corporations. Whether you have a corporation, a partnership, or a multi-member LLC, if any of these types of businesses elected to be taxed as an S-corp, this video will apply to you. I'll be covering how to fill out the form and understand all the numbers and where they go. And this will include talking about owner pay, ordinary business income, Schedule K and Schedule L, the balance sheet, as well as the M-1 and M-2 reconciliation, distributions, the capital accounts, and basis calculations. So it's going to be really fun. If you are wanting to update your return in software, I just did another video comparing options for filing business returns. So check that out. I also have videos going over how to update your business returns in TaxAct, TurboTax, and a new software called X-Tax. I have a special link for them down in the description box below where you can get 15% off. Let's jump in and get started. Okay, so here we are in the 1120S form, and this form is 5 pages. It goes over some basic information, a certain calculation for ordinary business income. Then we answer a bunch of questions and we get to Schedule K, which tells us the amounts that are going to go to the member or shareholder owners on Schedule K1s. And those K1s report that owner's share from Schedule K. And then lastly, we have some reconciliation. Schedule L, which is our balance sheet from our accounting record. Schedule M1, which reconciles our net income on the tax return to the accounting numbers from Schedule L, and then a special calculation on Schedule M. And so I'm going to dive deeper into how the form works. And I have an example that I'm showing you with these numbers. And this is the income statement report, which really is our starting point for taxes. The balance sheet is also very important. And because we use spreadsheets for these accounting records, it makes it convenient when it comes to taxes to trace the adjustments that we're making for different totals on the tax returns. Okay, so in the first section is where the name of the business goes, your EIN number. You'll include the date that the legal type of business started. And then you elected S-corp status. So in box A, this is the date that you actually elected to be taxed as an S-corp. And these do not need to be the same, but the S-corp election has to come after the date the legal business was formed. This number is your business activity code. And this is a number that just describes, the description describes your business as close as possible. These are just for statistical purposes. So I know some people get kind of stressed out about the activity code number. You don't need to worry all that much about it. Just pick the one that best describes your business. Here at row I, this is the number of owners. So in this example, there's 2 member owners. This is an LLC, which you can tell by the name of the business, Service Pros LLC, and it's elected S-corp status when it started. So in our first section, we have income of $400,000. And on our income statement, you can see we also sold an asset for $10,000, and we had interest income of $181. But those amounts don't go here on page 1, just our business income. And that's because interest income and gain or loss on a sale in the specific situation we have with this asset, those are separately stated on Schedule K. Then we have our expenses. The first one, because this is an S-corp, we have to pay the owner's reasonable salary. So each owner is being paid $70,000 for a total of $140,000. We have rent expense of $45,000. We have depreciation of $7,200. And on our accounting record, we just wrote off assets when we purchased them. So we didn't have depreciation on that income statement. So that's going to be a difference in the later sections. And then our other deductions over here, we have $26,500, and that's made up of $15,000 to contractors, $10,000 of other operating costs, and $2,000 of meals and entertainment. But $1,000 of that was fully deductible and $1,000 was at the 50% limit. So that was $1,500. So that brings us to tax ordinary business income of $181,300. And you can see down here, our book net income is this $173,181. And then those adjustments I just walked you through get us to that tax ordinary business income of $181,300. So it's not that the other things aren't reported, they're just going to be reported further on in the return. Now, this next section is tax payments, and this is really uncommon for most of my small businesses. The business is essentially taxed like a partnership, and the net income from the business flows through, the activity flows through to the owners. Now, if you hire someone to file the return for you, make sure that they're reporting their information here under paid preparer use only. If they aren't doing that, that could definitely be a flag. Red flag. Okay, the next sections on page 2 and into page 3 is Schedule B. And Schedule B is just asking a bunch of questions about your business. If you have any questions about these questions, comment them down below the video. I try to reply to every comment. And then on page 3, we'll come to Schedule K. And the name of this section, Shareholders Pro Rata Share Items. So I know it can be confusing because you'll see the term shareholder and you might be an LLC, in which case the owners are members, not shareholders. But the reason 1120S in the S election generally refers to owners as shareholders is because this S election was created for corporations to be taxed like partnerships and like a flow through. Okay, so the first line here, box 1, ordinary business income loss from page 1. So that was that amount from right here, $181,300. And that amount is going to be reported to the owners, and that's box 1. Now you can see all the items under this: income, deductions, credits, AMT, and items affecting shareholder basis. So basically, this Schedule K is reporting the totals of everything that's going to be reported separately to the owners on their Schedule K1s. So in box 4, we have that interest income of $181 that we had on our income statement that we didn't put on page 1 of the 1120S. We also purchased an asset this year and we deducted the full amount, but instead of using regular depreciation, we chose to use Section 179. And so that is something that flows through to the owners. Then we have some AMT adjustments, alternative minimum tax, and they're based on the depreciation of assets. And in the last section, we have items affecting shareholder basis. So this is non-deductible expenses of $500. That's the $500 that was limited from meals and entertainment. And then we have distributions of $80,000, and each of our owners took $40,000 of distributions. So when we come over to page 4, we also have our investment income, which is just repeating that interest income again. And then on line 18, we have an important subtotal here, income loss reconciliation. This amount is another tax income amount, and it's based on adding together everything in this first section and minusing the deductions. So it's $181,300 plus $181 minus $25,000, and that gets us to $156,481. And so I also reconciled that here by our 2 separately stated items to get from our tax net income to the Schedule K net income. So now this last section is really cool if you understand what it's doing. So Schedule L, our balance sheet per books. Remember, our books are these accounting spreadsheets. But if you use QuickBooks or an accounting software, that's what your books are. So we have our balance sheet here for the prior year and the current year, and we just update these amounts. So our beginning of the year amounts are our prior year ending amounts. And then our end of the year is the end of the current tax year. The software is going to automatically know what our book net income was, because that is the difference between the beginning and ending balance of retained earnings. So in the next section, Schedule M-1, it is taking that amount, net income per books, from here, and it's adjusting it to get to the net income or net loss on Schedule K, which is right here. So the differences was depreciation of $25,000. This was an expense on the books because we just wrote off the whole asset, which actually ended up being a wash because we took Section 179. So we'll see that over here. And then the $500 of meals and entertainment over here, expenses on the books not deducted. So we couldn't end up deducting $500 of meals. So that amount increases, and then we decrease by the gain, that $10,000 from a sale that we recorded on the books, and our depreciation of $7,200 plus $25,000 of Section 179, and that reconciles us. The last section here, Schedule M-2, this is the analysis of accumulated adjustment account. And basically what this is it's a special calculation of its own. It's not the tax basis. It's not the capital accounts. It has to do with corporations electing S-corp status, but basically in case you're triggered to be required to update it, it's better to just update it as you go, because you're going to start with the ending balance of the prior year. So if you haven't been doing it, it will become difficult to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Schedule K, and I'm going to flip over to the Schedule K1. So you can see here their share of these Schedule K items. So 181,300, 50% of that is 90,650. Then 50% of 181 is 90. It's 90 and 50 cents, but one partner will get 91 and one partner will get 90 because there's no change on here, as you might have noticed. And then the Section 179 depreciation deduction. And over here we have items affecting shareholder basis. So this was the 50% of meals that wasn't deducted and the distributions. Now, I also did a calculation for a sale of that asset that had been $10,000 that resulted in a gain of $88,000, and their share was only reported under other information because they had taken Section 179 when they purchased that asset. And so in that situation, because Section 179 is a flow-through item, it gets reported over here in other information. So that can be deceiving because you might not realize you have a gain because it's not showing over here, but it's hidden here under Code K. So now I want to show you a basis calculation. Over here we have our owner accounts and then the basis calculation. We have our starting balance for the year. We added from the K1 the 90,650. We added their share of interest income, and that gives us total increases. Then our decreases are the 40,000 of distributions and 250 of the meals that were limited. And so that gets us to an ending basis of 62,991. So if this number, the ending tax basis, ending outside basis, goes below 0, then part of these distributions can be taxed. And when you file your return and you say that you took distributions, you will update a form reporting your outside basis to make sure that you're not going below zero. Okay, and that's all for our 1120S form and how to fill it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your questions down in the comment box below. I try to reply to every question. And if you want to get a hold of any of the spreadsheets you saw me using in this video, check out my Master Your Accounting and Taxes program, where I guide you through organizing your business finances in our unique spreadsheet templates. And of course, you can ask questions and get more help. And remember, if you're new here, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye.